All right, Shalom. Before I get started, I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Yahawahshi, Ba'ashem, Merkakadash. It's the brother of Bakalah Walam, here with another hopeful, edifying lesson to the elect body of Yahawah, Yahawahshi. This lesson is, I would have healed Babylon. The Lord, doesn't have plans to heal America, and whatever attempts that they try. Like when, for example, Doge, leaded by Elon Musk, seeing Donald Trump, which is the president. They try to cut the spending, cut spending, federal funding, basically to save money, go towards the deficit, or lose up tight ends or whatever they want to do. But all of this, and also what they're doing here with Ron Desantis, signs Florida bill making gold and silver legal tender. Which this is all in efforts to heal America, which is Babylon the Great. But the Lord doesn't have that in plan for this place to recover, heal, or on what it says on America, with Trump logo or motto is make America great again, which is coming from Jeremiah 51. And also I'm gonna get out of Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, which I'm gonna go ahead and play this video full, and then I'm gonna we'll wind it back to some certain points. So here's the video.
The state of Florida is taking a big step closer to...
And also, this is fair use, freedom of information. So like your freedom of information, but freedom of I can't even think. Fair use, Copyright Act, right? For this video for commenting and educational purposes.
Precious metals just as useful as cash. The governor just signed a bill to start the process of making gold and silver legal tender here in Florida. Fox 13's Evan Axelbank is in the newsroom now to explain why.
Haley, don't put your gold bars in your wallet just yet. The state still has a lot of work to do to set up the rules for how this will all work, but the governor sees this as a way to protect parts of Florida's economy from global upheaval and also as a guard against inflation. If anything were ever true about a 7-pound hunk of silver...
You can't print this out of thin air.
At $3,400 each, these bars are worth enough to be exchanged for a used car, let's say, depending on what rules the state of Florida sets up.
I think that's a great idea in theory. I just don't know how they would implement it.
The governor started the process Tuesday, signing a bill that makes gold and silver as good as cash, starting July 1st of next year. It requires all coins to be stamped with weight, purity, and mint of origin. It specifies that using it or accepting it is optional. Purchases with precious metal would be exempt from sales taxes, but gold and silver could be used to pay other kinds of taxes.
We've really led the way on protecting your economic independence and your financial sovereignty.
The governor argues metals are a protection against a falling dollar, which he sees as a risk given perennial deficit spending in Washington. He points out that gold has tripled in value since 2015, while because of inflation, paper money is buying less.
This is our ability to give you the financial freedom to be able to protect yourself against the declining value of the dollar.
The bill specifies that businesses accepting gold must be licensed and that check cashers and money service businesses also have to accept it. The question that dealers like Mark Bonnet of Oldsmar have is how merchants will be able to move quickly enough to make it realistic. Once a week, someone tries to sell him something that's no better than fool's gold.
It should be right in the middle, just like that. That tell you it's real. There's a lot of fake stuff out there, and then they got to figure out what the stuff is worth compared to what they're selling and stuff, and do all that. So, I mean, unless they have somebody that specializes in that stuff, I think it'd be very difficult. And these are actually
And now it is up to the CFO of the state of Florida and also the Financial Services Commission to write the rules for how this is all going to work. A report has to be given to the legislature on November 1st, and then those proposed rules must be ratified by the legislature to have it all in effect by July 1st of 2026, Haley.
Very interesting.
So, yeah, but what this is an attempt to heal America, which is Babylon the Greek. You turn it down to a little bit. That's all. This is an attempt to heal America, and there's some things that I want to.
The governor argues.
So I hear that Ron Desantis says. Let's see. I might have wound it back too far. We're going to look up, which, like I said, this is all an attempt to heal America. You know, bringing back the gold and silver standard, which, according to the Constitution, that's what real money is. According to the federal Constitution, gold and silver is the legal tender in America. You know, due to the history, you should know. You know how that came about. The Federal Reserve note. You know, can't think of the president right now. I think it was Woodrow Wilson, if I'm not mistaken. I forgot. You know, but he the one that brought about the legal tender of the Federal Reserve note as legal tender. I mean, Federal Reserve note as currency, well, you know, legal tender, I guess. So I'm gonna go and play this point that I want to hear him say again. Right.
Independence and your financial sovereignty.
The governor argues that using it or accepting it is optional. Purchases with precious metal would be exempt from sales taxes, but gold and silver could be used to pay other kinds of taxes.
We've really led the way on protecting your economic independence and your financial sovereignty.
The governor argues metals are a protection against a falling dollar, which he sees as a risk given perennial deficit spending in Washington.
So he said this is in aid due to a falling dollar, right?
Which he sees as a risk given
economic independence and your financial sovereignty.
The governor argues metals are a protection against a falling dollar, which
he said metals, the gold and silver, is a form of protection against a falling dollar, which that's Jeremiah, a falling dollar, which that's what's happening to Babylon. Jeremiah 51:7. It says Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken, and the nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore, the nations are mad. Right, and also Trump was saying about bringing back the gold era or something of that around that. You know, something like that, bringing back the gold era of America. Verse 8, it says Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed, right? So, just like you said, the fallen dollar, just the petrol dollar is falling, right? So that's a representation of America as a whole. You know, a lot of countries are moving away from the dollar. You got the BRICS nations forming their own form of currency to compete against or forming their own form of trading using currency or money or gold. I think they use gold also. They're using like precious metals. They're using their own strategy to go against basically the dollar, the petrodollar, which that's what he was saying. It's they're using this gold to combat the decline or fall of the U.S. dollar, right? Jeremiah 51:8 says, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her take balm for her pain? If so, be she may be healed, right? So that's what's going on. They're trying to basically heal Babylon through whatever means. It says, verse 9, it says, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her. Let us go every one into his own country, for a judgment reaches, for her judgment reaches unto the heavens and is lifted up even to the skies, right? So this place is not destined to be healed. It's not destined to um, return to whatever greatness that is proclaiming it was at one point of time, right? Let me see something sloppy. So it's like, yeah. So yeah, the Lord hasn't destined this place to return or be healed or return to whatever state it was at one point in time. It's it's fallen. It's in a fallen state, right? So the Lord hasn't destined Babylon to, or purposed Babylon to return as a dominant force in the world, right? America. That's why he's attempting to heal it through whatever means, bringing back the gold and silver standard. You know, if this bill is passed, nonetheless, if it is passed, it's still it's not going to heal Babylon.
Protection against a falling dollar, which he sees as a risk given perennial deficit spending in Washington. He points out that
Perennial deficit spending, right? So we're gonna get into that. What is this perennial deficit spending, right? So it says, like, first we're gonna get into perennial. What perennial means? Perennial. It says perennial, lasting or existing for a long or apparently indefinite time, enduring or continually reoccurring, right? So it's perpetual, everlasting. They got a perennial deficit spending, right? That's what he says what's going on in Washington, D.C., America. So what is deficit spending? It says deficit spending occurs when a government or other entity spends more money than it earns within a given period, usually a year, right? So it's a continuation that this country is spending more money than it earns every year, and it's a continuation, everlasting. It's perpetual. So he said this is a method to combat. So what's that gonna do? Just continually increase the debt and continually increase the debt. And Japan and China is one of the, and I think the United Kingdom, Japan and China is the two major buyers or owners of the U.S. deficit. So they are buying the U.S. deficit, and basically the U.S. is in debt to Japan and China and the United Kingdom. But the main two is Japan and China, which China is one of their, well, their enemies, one of the top ones, behind like Russia, China, Russia and China is more or less like neck to neck or whatever, however they want to play it. More or less China and Russia is like neck to neck as the worst enemy to America. So it's a perpetual continuation of spending more money than it earns, meaning the debt is going to steady increase. So he said this gold standard is call him like Yahawahshi 777, right? Right, it's the completion, right? More or less the more or less the completion of the words of Yahawahshi on performing his prophecies, right? However, it may seem, but the number is there, meaning completion. But anyway, this deficit spending is a perennial or continuation, which that's what's talked about in Habakkuk chapter 2. I'm gonna get out a blue letter. Habakkuk chapter 2, which says, this is what's going on when it comes to the money system. This what they call it? They call it a Ponzi scheme, basically. This money system is a Ponzi scheme, a pyramid scheme, or a Ponzi scheme, right? This is Habakkuk chapter 2. I'm gonna start at verse 1. It says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And the Lord Yahawah answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it, right? For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie, right? Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. So that's what's going on. These visions are these prophecies. Even though it may take some time for things to come about, but believe the word that it's gonna happen. Basically, it may seem like it's not happening, or it may take some time for something to occur, but you better believe at the end it shall speak and not lie. And we are at the end, and these prophecies that the Lord is saying happening is happening. You see it manifesting through the earth, right? I'm gonna continue on reading. It says, behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, right? We just read that out of Jeremiah 51. He made the nations are drunken on the wine of Babylon, which is democracy, right? Their philosophy is democracy, basically. And the nations are mad, right? Yea, yeah, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth into him all nations, and heapeth into him all people. That melting pot, right? America is the melting pot that everybody comes to, right? Verse 6, which is the point is in, it says, shall not all these take up a parable against them, and a taunty proverb against them, and say, woe unto him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. So you go into this word thick clay. It's talking about the deficits, right?
Strong's H 5671 Avtit.
Which says weight of pledges or heavy debt. So that's what it is. Deficit spending. It says perpetual, perennial. This is word perennial. Uh, uh, Perennial means forever. So the debt is going to continue to increase forever. And he said this using uh, the gold standard or the gold standard or gold and silver standard back, or basically help the gold and silver standard back will help to fight against the falling dollar, right? Which that's Babylon is in a fallen state. That means economically, whatever, however you want to put it, economically is one, whatever else you can say about it, it's falling. It's a fallen state. Morally, it's falling. You know, economically, it's falling. Politically, it's in a fallen state. All this division, morally, every aspect that you can see, Babylon it's in a fallen state. So that's why he says perennial deficit spending. It means that it's the national debt that America is in. So it's in a fallen state, and the this deficit that America is in. That's what I want to say, right? The deficit that America in is relating to Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 8, which is the debt, or which is the national debt, the national deficit, which is the heavy debts that is talked about when it says thick clay and weight pledges. Also that's what the fiat currency, uh, the fiat currency basically is a promise to owe, IOU. Pledge, weight of pledges is a pledge to pay. It's a promise to pay, and basically that's what a pledge is. A pledge is a promise, basically, and that's all. That's all that the Federal Reserve note is, an IOU, promising to pay back a debt. So it's not real. It's not real currency. It's just you're promising to pay back something. But that's his actual function. But that it's not using. People think it's real. It has some real value, but it doesn't. The value is in the gold and silver, which Ron Desantis is more or less trying to bring back, which is also a part of, which is also spoken about in the federal constitution, right? So, like I said, this is all in attempts to heal Babylon, but it's not going to be healed, right? And it's all to bring about more or less Revelation chapter 13, verse 16 through 18, which you won't be able to buy and sell without this uh, 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 so like this RFID CS RFID CHIP, which is the MARK, right? Right, if you understand what I'm saying. You won't be able to buy and sell without the F frequency. I'm slipping my mind. The I just said it. Whatever. The CHIP. You won't be able to buy that. That's the MARK. That's basically the system is going into a digital. It's going to move forward or move towards a digital world currency, which, and also the scripture says it says your gold and silver, people going to be casting it to the streets. Um, so if this go cast Ezekiel 7:19. I'm gonna start at verse 15. Right. So I think the point we get to it, right? Points in verse 19. So Ezekiel 7:15 says the sword is without and the pestilence and the famine within, right? So just like the elder brought out, you can have all the gold you want, or all the gold you desire, silver, whatever, but if there's no food, which that's what's going to happen, there's going to be a shortage of food, famine. You can have all the gold and silver that you want, a heart's desire, so to speak, but if you don't have any food, it's useless. Basically, that's what it is. So it says Ezekiel 7:15, it says the sword is without, and the pestilence and the famine is within. He that is in the field shall die with a sword, and he that is in the city, famine and pestilence shall devour him, right? But they that escape of them shall escape. But they that escape of them shall escape, and shall be on the mountains like doves of the valleys, all of them mourning, everyone for his iniquity. All hands shall be feeble, and all knees shall be weak as water. And they shall also gird up themselves with sackcloth, and horror shall cover them, and shame shall be upon all faces, and baldness upon their heads. And they shall cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed, and their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of the Lord Yahawah. They shall not satisfy their soul, neither fear their bowels, because it is the stumbling block of their iniquity, right? So people going to be casting their gold. People going to be casting their gold and their silver to the street. It's not going to be able to deliver you in the times of the Lord's wrath, because that's what time we're in. We're in the time of the day of the Lord's wrath, right? So this gold and silver, if it passes, it's not going to it's not going to deliver these people, because it's going to be a lack of bread, pestilence. People going to be killing each other for that very situation, for the lack of bread. Second Ezra chapter 15 speaks on that. It's 15 or 16, tells you about people want to be invading one another for the lack of bread. So your gold and silver is not going to be able to save you, even though if this become a standard, it's not going to be able to save you, because it's going to be a famine, meaning what? No food. So I'm going to go and end it off there. Hope it was edifying to the elect. I'm going to say, call like Yahawah, Ba'ashem, Yahawahshi, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Shalom to the next time, Yahawah Ratazah, which means Lord willing, and why Baba Ball.